Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium and a spirit navigator. Today, we're going to be talking about politics. We're going to be talking about the future of politics in the United States. Now, this is not what thought I was going to be talking about. I thought I was going to be talking about the future of the Republican Party in the United States. If you're new here, thanks for joining me. I am channeling this. I've got a mixture of guidance coming in that I equate to be about 60% spirit guides, 40% Susan. And so that's what happens, right? So I sit down at this computer. There's no notes. There's no nothing. I am flying really by the seat of my pants or the seat of my crown chakra, whichever you subscribe to, which either one is fine. And so when I sat down, I thought, boy, this is it, right? Like, this is what the spirit guides showed us. All those videos that I did, including one called The End of the Republican Party, a year ago, they said, this is the end of the Republican Party. And this is how they broke it down very quickly. The way they would break it down in today is September 15, 2024, and they still stand by this. Okay. So am I 1,000% right? I am channeling, I'm trying to translate what they're telling me. And, I could always be wrong because humans have free will. We are literally the cats of the universe. We're not going to follow you. We're not going to listen to you. We're going to go do our own damn thing. And we're going to catfight each other. So there you go. So here's the breakdown of the situation. As I understand it, believe me when I say they will correct me if they feel like I am wrong. So as I understand it, a very simplified version of this is that you have basically two camps within the political system. Now, this has primarily been more evident within the Republican Party. And I want to say more evident by like 98%. Not to say that the Democrats can't do this. If the Democrats do something wrong or egregious or criminal, you better believe I will be the first person to tell you and to warn you. I will 100% be the first person to say this person needs to go. Okay. But here we are. The Republicans, for whatever reason, have chosen this path. And the guides want to take me all the way back to Eisenhower and the industrial military complex, something like that. It kind of started where we had a choice to make, right? A lot of countries offered free healthcare. A lot of countries offered more of a safety net for their citizens. Well, the United States decided, no, we're going to be the Wild West. We're the land of your dreams, right? You can be a millionaire or a pauper. It's all up to you. Now we know right now, given hindsight, that that's not really the case, right? We know that the whole system is stacked against anyone who's not white. So it's not a free and simple system. And we also know that this justice system clearly is not equal because we can see this through how 45 has been able to get away with so much. So the simplified version is two camps. One camp is American oligarchs. American oligarchs should control the money, should control the business, should control the government. Make no mistake about it. 100%. They want to control the government. And with Citizens United, they were able to finally do that. And we can see with our very own human eyes the wreckage of that decision and exactly how they really are manipulating and controlling not only the government, but in as much as, let's just say, SCOTUS, right? And in as much as, let's say, the majority of Congress that would be in the Republican Party. But also, they are controlling the media. So the one camp, American money, American oligarchs, keep it home, right? We want this money. We want this control ourselves. I'm not saying one of these is better than the other because frankly, they both are terrible. The second camp is money at all cost. And the thing is about money. It's not about, we don't care if it comes from American sources or external sources. Number one, we care about money. Number two, we don't care about democracy. We don't care about, and the spirit guides directed me just now back to Republicans, or the first group that would be American oligarchs. And, their version of democracy is kind of what we have now, which is like this shadow of democracy. It's really, it's not true. It's in some ways, it's a mere shadow of itself. It's really how they would go on and on, but I'm just going to say that that's what they're saying. Okay. But it's their democracy, right? They can eat their apple pie on the 4th of July and sing God Bless America or whatever they want to sing. It's their narrative. And it's important for them to have that narrative. And now the guides are taking me back to Reconstruction after the Civil War, and how, we didn't deal with any of these things. President Lincoln really brought us to the table to deal with this. And we didn't. And here we are with this false version of true democracy. And again, back to the Electoral College, which was an outcome of Reconstruction. Look, I'm channeling. If this is all wrong, y'all are going to have to write in the comments. But mainly, I would just have you call 1-800 Spirit Guides, press 1 for complaints, because Susan don't know nothing about none of this. So you're going to yell at me? I don't know what you're talking about. So, okay, back into the channeling stream. So these other people, Camp 2, I mean, it's really, the energy suggests it's every person for themselves. And really, let's face it, it's every man for themselves. There are women in this equation, but they've given their power to the toxic masculinity, and they're sadly mistaken. This second group is sadly mistaken that they're going to have any kind of agency or any kind of power, because they're going to have an overlord, and their overlord is, the spirit guides are saying, their overlord is money, is greed. But who's going to pay that money, right? It's going to be another country. Now, this second camp have made themselves available for this, what the guides are calling free money. Like, all they got to do is vote a certain way. All they got to do is go on a social media site and espouse some words. That's all I got to do to make all this money. Sure, I'll be happy to. They don't, maybe they're not capable of understanding the seriousness of the situation, or maybe they just don't care, right? They literally just, they're soulless. They're so in it for their own gains. They just don't care. They're thieves, basically, right? And the guides always use words. I think some of these guides are from the 40s or the 50s. Well, I know they are, but they want to use words like cretins. They often, when the guides really get, you know, energetically worked up, they call them cretins or dastardlies. Cracks me up. Anyway, so you have these two groups. Now, why would external forces be paying Americans to do these things, to vote a certain way? Back in the day when I started this channel, I tried to make sense of this. Like, I literally tried to make really common sense of it. And I would say to myself, and I would read the energy and translate the energy like this. And I would say, oh, well, this country that starts with an R, or this country that starts with a C, or this country that's an S and an A, or any number of countries, they want American investment. Like, I wanted it to make sense. Dollars and cents. That's what I wanted. They wanted American investment. So they invested in this senator or this judge or this influencer. But no, the sad truth is, they want America to just crumble. They want democracy to crumble because they don't have democracy. They don't want democracy. They don't want their people to get wind that you could come to a democratic country and watch whatever TV show you wanted, watch whatever video you wanted, maybe even talk to people like I'm doing right now freely. Now, we know that 45 just came out and said, in response to his terrible debate, that ABC should have their license revoked. This guy is literally in league with our enemies. Okay. So, in this way, the Republican Party has two camps. And in this way, you can see the American oligarchs and you can see the foreign oligarchs. Okay. To me, this explains everything. Hopefully, it makes sense to you. The American oligarchs, I would say to you, would be the Cheneys. They don't want to speak Russian. you know, they don't want this money going anywhere else. They want it in their great grandkids' bank account. They want to be the owners of America. And that's the word spirit guides gave me because I was trying to say leaders, and the spirit guides replaced that at the last minute with owners. Do you understand why the energy is very similar? It's very oligarchical energy. It's very much ownership. It's very much top down. I'm the king. I'm the leader, the owner of this country. I'll decide how it goes down. And that's kind of where we are right now, except for that these two forces have been fighting each other. And this is why you get people like Liz Cheney coming over to Kamala Harris, because she's like, okay, this is a real threat to our democracy and my family's heritage, lineage. This is what they care about. I know Liz Cheney doesn't have kids, but this is, her family does. Her family has a name. It's all about these people, these oligarchical people. They all see themselves in statues. Like they all see themselves after I'm gone. There are already many Cheney libraries, buildings, foundation. There's a lot of this already. And that's how they see their legacy going forward. Well, if we are not America and we sold ourselves out to the highest bidder, there's no going to be any Cheney statues anywhere. There's not going to be, what she wants when I go into her energy, and God bless, if y'all know me, she triggers me, so you know how well I'm doing. What she wants is she wants like a law school. I just can't believe it. I'm doing coping mechanisms right now. I have the biggest piece of amethyst you guys have ever seen. Look at this. This is what I'm doing this video with. I'm like, I can make it. She wants a law school named after her, or at the very least, a building in a law school. She wants it. It'll make me want to. It's like when you have to fly into Reagan Airport or George Bush International. It's like, why am I being subjected to this? I think we should name these things after flowers. You know what I mean? Or mountains, or stars. We shouldn't. Maybe we're going to move, and maybe that's why the guides are giving me this, because the future of politics is, why are we aggrandizing these people? This is where we're moving away from. We're moving into the energy of power to the people, not power to the top. We're moving to the power of the bottom. Now, that, as you can imagine, is going to be not an easy transition, right? Who gives up their power and their greed and their avarice? Who would give that up willingly? Again, these people have come to work with Harris simply because they want the money, they want the power. And they understand that the Democrats are the ones that can help them thread this needle. And the spirit guides are showing me, go back and just look, just do your own research, right? Go to Google and look at all the presidents and the budgets, or various indicators of citizen health or happiness. And you can see that the Republicans crash and burn it and the Democrats rise it back up, at which point everybody's happy, everybody's sated, everybody's good. They can't remember the bad times. And then they vote for the R. And we repeat the process over and over and over again. Here we are. This is why Liz Cheney triggers me so much, because my spirit guides, look, I don't like them. I've never liked them, but I also don't like George Bush, and I really dislike Reagan. I'm going to say that I didn't dislike the Cheneys any more than anybody else, right? Like, to me, they were all in the same, batch of horrible. But my spirit guides kept telling me formidable opponent. And you guys, they don't repeat things. Like if they repeat something 3 times, that's a really big deal. A really big deal. If they repeat something for 6 months, that's like they're trying to tell you your hair's on fire. And if they repeat it for years, uh well, you're about to go off the cliff. You want to stop this sometime? Do you want to wake up, humans? I mean, we're tired of saving your ass. What gives? What do we have to do to get your attention? Right? So, this formidable opponent, you guys, I can't remember what I had for breakfast 1 hour ago. I don't remember things. That's why I'm such a good channel because I'm clear. I can just step aside and just be this channel. They tell me every time I hear Liz Cheney, it's like call and response. Liz Cheney, formidable opponent. So if the spirit guides are worried about her in the sense of our bigger democracy, the health of our country, they want to say, we should be worried about her. Okay? Because they're not worried. Seriously, they're not worried about 45. They're not. They're worried about Liz Cheney. That's what freaks me out. It really freaks me out because here's what they said about her. They said a long time ago, they said a long time ago, maybe even before Jan 6. I don't know. Time has no meaning to them, and I'm channeling. So there you go. But they said she would step out of the Republican Party, and they said that she would wait her turn. And they said she will either wait until the Republican Party burns down. And at that point, they showed me a picture of her walking through the ashes of like something that's burned to the ground and having these boots, like maybe cowboy boots. They look pointed, but they've, they look serious. In other words, they're not stylish. In Texas, we would call this shit kicking boots, right? So she's going through the ashes and with her toe of her boot nudging the ashes to make sure nothing survived. That's what we're talking about here, to make sure nothing survived. At which point, she's free to take it over. Now, if that didn't happen, what she would do was create a separate party. Okay? And here we are, right? Like this is why I'm doing this video. At first, I really thought I was doing a video on the end of the Republican Party because this is where we are, right? We're at the end. It's exactly what the spirit guides told me. One of the pictures, because I'm very visual and I'm clairvoyant, so I have psychic seeing. One of the pictures they showed me was, this sort of circus train going down a track very quickly and going to the cliff. And that's the Republican Party. And 45 is in the front of the circus train, along with, the Freedom Caucus. We all know who the, MTG and Gates and whatever, who are a lot of also Jan 6 people. They're in the front of the train. They're driving the train. Now, these Republicans that are on the train, some of them have been, that's a really good point. Some of them have been, I'm going to use the words blackmailed, although I have to be really careful about what I'm doing because I'm telling you guys, YouTube is going to be coming, for me. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe because the spirit guides have been warning me. I haven't been listening because you know how that goes. They threw me another lifeline the other day. I'm going to do it. But the more subscribers I have, the better chances I have of making it if they do something, of getting it back. Okay. So a lot of these Republicans have been blackmailed. So this is where you go back to the external, the international oligarchs. The international oligarchs, they invite these whoever, Democrat, Republican, I mean, they don't care, right? They would just as soon do this to a Democrat. They invite them over to Russia, and this is well known. This is psychic, but also researchable. They give them, because you're in a different country, I guess people think they can get wild. I don't know. They offer them whatever they want. I mean, that could be drugs, that could be different types of kinky sex. I mean, whatever it is. And they video it in the room. And then when you get back, they say, "Oh, we have this footage of you, and now you're going to do what we say you're going to do." Now, maybe in the 80s and the 90s, it was enough to be embarrassed, and you could be embarrassed and you would do what they, their bidding basically. But now, as we know, there is no embarrassment. The embarrassment DNA or gene or whatever ability in Republicans is missing now. It's been bred out of them, does no longer exist. So they don't care. They don't care if you catch them lying. They don't care if you catch them having an affair. They don't care. But what they do care about, here's where here's where it gets serious. What they do care about is crimes, right? They don't want to go to jail or to prison. So now what you see, or what I see, is that these external or international oligarchs try to have criminal dirt on these people. And listen, you guys, it makes perfect sense, right? Because you have all these people, all these, Lindsey Graham and uh, Ted Cruz and McConnell, and they're just like literally 10, 15, 20 pretty well known Congress people say Donald Trump is a liar. Donald Trump is the worst thing, and he's insulted my wife. And and then within 24 hours, they're back singing his praises. It's on video. It's completely public. You can see the turnaround. You can see the chain get jerked. This is where we are. So these people now, and what I said was, this is a good idea, is that I don't want to get off on a tangent, but it's so juicy. Um, right now, very briefly, tangentially, right now, 45, and this is all part of this part. They're like, Susan, this is part of the whole fabric, the whole picture, the whole. You can't skip this over because it's important about why. Okay, thank you. Why the Republican circus train is going over the edge, because these people, thank you, that's exactly, makes sense now, it all connects. Okay, these people that were in the back of the train, they weren't Trumpers, right? This is why I had to go on that thing to tell you why they became Trumpers, why they couldn't stand up to him, why they had to get on the train. Well, they're all on the train. Cheney got off the chain, Adam got off the train, but for the most part, a few, what's his name, I can't think of his name, but he's the guy that ran for president, that is a moderate Republican, and he's retiring. He got off the train. A few said, "No, I'm not going to go to jail for you. You don't have anything on me, therefore I'm not going to play that game. And also, my money is on America. Even though I want to own it, I want to own it. I don't want you to own it." Okay? So what's interesting is that 45, they push every button to try to get a response, right? Like, for the longest times it was gay marriage. Push the button, you got a response. You got money, you got, coverage, you got people freaking out. Okay, the border, push the button, got the response. You got the money, you got the people freaking out, you got the people going to the polls to do the thing. That's all it's about. They're trying to mash buttons to get a response. Any button that gets a response is their button. So they decided abortion. That was a great button. Wow, we got a great response. Well, now the response has gone against them, and now he's trying to backtrack. IVF. They thought they were going to get a great response. It's gone against them. They're trying to backtrack. So now 45, and he's always said this. He's always said, "I want a Roy Cohn. I want somebody who's really going to fight for me. I want a dirty fighter," right? That's who he wants in his corner. He wants somebody who doesn't care about the law, who doesn't care about being sanctioned by a court, who doesn't care about their law license. How many attorneys has he ruined? Has he made good attorneys themselves? MAGA, right? So now he's out of options because his attorneys are tired of going and getting their law license revoked. They're tired of being sanctioned. They're tired of being disciplined, or having their reputation ruined for the rest of their lives. Like a lot of his really, he really hired some high powered, well respected attorneys who now have really lost credibility. So he's kind of at the bottom of the barrel. He's finding that he doesn't have anybody that will fight to the death, because that's kind of how he sees this. He sees this as this is the end of me, right? I'm going to be in the clink. I need somebody who's going to fight to keep me out of prison. So he brings on Laura Loomer. Now, Laura Loomer has been crazy over him since day one. She's one of those women that have really fought to be his champion. She's also a woman who has her own platform. She really does, sort of like that guy that had Alex, or I don't know, InfoWars, the guy that had InfoWars. She's not as popular as he was, but she's similar to him. Okay. She has her own platform. I would say, honestly, she's even more out there, outrageous, shock jock than he is. If you can believe that, she is really that much worse even than him. There is no bottom that she will not reach. Okay. She has been blocked by PayPal, by Venmo, by so many companies that are like, we're not even going to do business with you, right? We're blocking you. Now, the whole time, she's been rah, 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 45. I mean, really on the sidelines, because she hasn't really been in his inner circle, but in her own way, with her own platform, she has really never wavered. And in many ways, she has gone deeper into the mud for him than anybody else. So here we are. 45 is not getting any traction. He's pushing all the buttons and nothing's happening. He can't get a reaction. So, of course, he came up with the Aurora, Colorado gangs, the whatever they were, some other country. I don't know if it was some other country's gangs were in Aurora, Colorado, taking over apartment complexes. And Aurora, Colorado was like, no, no, not here, right? But they need to scare people. Remember, they're hitting the button expecting the flow of cash. They're hitting the button expecting the support. We're the only ones that can save you. There are gangs running around your neighborhood trying to kidnap you. And they don't look like you. They're other colors. They speak other languages. You need to stay with us, because if you stay with us, we'll protect you. See, this is part of the mind, the brainwashing. Okay. Now, on top of that, you have this whole thing in Springfield, which is beyond horrible. The woman that started it, and I just want to say the word simply, and I hate when the guides do that, but this is what they're saying, because I'm not defending her any way, shape, or form, but I'm telling you, this is how careful we have to be, because this woman that started this has a biracial child and is in the LGBT community. She's not a Trumper or a MAGA, but she bought into the fear. That's what happened. She bought into the fear. She saw a post. I think it was that guy that had the geese, whatever. If you haven't seen it, it's a black guy carrying a dead geese, and it's in America, and he's walking down the street with it. Okay. So she saw some post that said exactly that. This post said, and I think it was on Facebook or something, I know that this community is doing this thing. Look at this picture. This woman saw that, freaked out, because let's face it, even though she has a biracial child and she's in the LGBTQ community, she must be scared or have some racist tendencies about what's going on in her community. 15,000 Haitians are now in that small community. It does change the fabric of the community. Obviously, she was feeling some kind of way and she bought into the fear. And all she did was post it. She didn't have a platform. She's nobody anybody knows. She doesn't have thousands of followers. But somebody that did have a platform grabbed that post and promoted it. Who do we think that was? Do we think that was the American oligarchs or the international oligarchs? The international oligarchs. Want to know why? The American oligarchs are making a lot of money off of, non-citizens being here doing cheap labor that nobody else wants to do. So they're making money off of that. Like McConnell said with Ukraine, why are y'all against Ukraine? Everything we sell them, we make them get it built here. Everything Ukraine buys from us comes from us. We make it, right? So be careful what you post. Be careful in a quick moment. And I'm sure I've done it, like in some ways, right? Like, oh my God, I'm scared about this thing happening. Even if it's a flood, even if it's a storm. Well, if I don't really know this is true, I really shouldn't be posting it. It really shows us how these things get out of control and become a wildfire. It's what the guides want to say. It's like a careless person throwing a cigarette out of a car. One cigarette, one careless person started a fire that perhaps affected many people, even some people becoming unalived. Okay. So now the Republicans are fomenting, they're pushing that button. They're pushing that button hard, right? Because they need the distraction from the debate. They need the distraction from the fact that he's not doing well. And they need to give this heady elixir of fear to their people. They made this cult. You got to feed them. If you don't feed them fear, they're not going to be fearful. Okay. So, and this is one of the things that's going to break the cult, which is really and truly Biden's steady hand and Biden's and the Democrats' few bills that they passed that have brought jobs and how they're getting grocery stores to lower prices. When people's lives are getting easier, it's harder to believe in the fear. This is what the spirit guides are always telling you. There's now distance between the fear I feel and the reality I see. You want me to be fearful, but I'm just not seeing it. Like I don't plus now have some money in my account. I'm going to have a barbecue. I don't have time to be afraid because I'm enjoying my life, because I have money, because I have a job. That's sort of like the antidote. That's one way that we can take this raging fire of MAGA cult and bring it into a slow simmer and even cool it off is through the economy. Okay, now let's go back to Laura Loomer. Now, Laura Loomer's important because he's running out of buttons. He's running out of things to push to make something happen, to make some money come to him, or to make the polls. People are just not going to go. They're not excited about him. They're bored. And again, they're not as afraid. Now, this thing in Springfield is something. It is a fire. It's a problem. But overall, the news is going to start reporting that this isn't real. And overall, this is going to pass. So he brought on Laura Loomer because Laura Loomer is the Roy Cohn. She's not an attorney. She got nothing to lose. She's an influencer with a platform. Not a huge, certainly way bigger than my platform, right? But she does have a platform, and she doesn't care who blocks her. She doesn't care that she can't accept payments through 9 out of the 10 only payment providers in the universe. You know what I mean? She just doesn't care. There's no bottom for her. And so out of desperation, he has brought her on because she is really and truly an attack ferret. You know what I mean? And no disregard or disrespect to ferrets. But she's going to be the end of him. I'm starting to wonder if she's the fifth arrow. If you guys watch me, the spirit guide said there's going to be 100 arrows flying at 45. 95 are going to miss. Now, the reason they said that is for us to get used to the fact that we're going to see 95 really seriously good, you know, attacks on him that are just going to fail, court cases that fail, whatever. They were trying to get us used to the fact that we're going to see a lot of losses, but in the end, something is going to land on this man. Now, they said 5. Now, for the longest time, there was Alvin Bragg, Eugene Carroll, Fonnie Willis, Jack Smith, and Tish James, and that was 5. But as they also fall, it seems like new ones appear. You might say Stormy Daniels was one that appeared. Certainly her on the stand really, really, really punished and took 45 down several notches. Okay, so and they won't back down from Eugene Carroll. Eugene Carroll is an arrow. Period. End of story. In other words, it landed. It did what it was supposed to do. Not one thing is going to take him down. That's why there's 5. Not one. Okay, so E. Jean Carroll landed. That it is she maybe not, but she did what she was supposed to do. I'm seeing the 2 ladies that were in Georgia that were the elections workers, right? They could be an arrow. They're not done with I don't know why they said that, but that's what they're saying, because I know right now they're suing the mayor Giuliani, but they said that they may now be going after 45, or 45's a state. This is RICO, you guys. RICO means racketeering. You can take your dot to Giuliani and clearly make a dot to Trump. You know what I mean? It's not that hard. Okay. The arrows are still flying. Maybe only 80 have been shot. Maybe we've got another 15 arrows that are going to come at him pretty good, cases or even publicity, whatever it is. And certainly finances. Don't discount finances, because finances is a big deal for him. So Laura Loomer may be the thing that not only brings 45 down, but brings the Republican Party down. Why? Because the interesting thing that I saw was, well, if a certain country has dirt on MTG and she really is owned by them, okay, that's her boss. Well, now we have Laura Loomer, who's never liked MTG. Laura Loomer doesn't like anybody but 45, as far as I can tell, and herself. She's gone after MTG, and she's put a bounty on MTG's head and she said on Twitter, on X, I have it on good word from the man himself that MTG called him the N-word. But I want recordings and video. So I'm putting it out there that I'll pay good money for any recordings or video that you have on MTG. Okay, now what's going to happen, right? Like, is this country going to get MTG, or is Laura Loomer going to get MTG? Who's going to get her? She's screwed. And it's not just MTG, it's Matt Gaetz. It's all of them, because as 45, if he decides to, he's on the fence, but I can't imagine that he doesn't do it. But he has free will, and he's on the fence. If he decides to forego and walk away from the Republican Party, meaning Mike Johnson, right? MTG, Gates, any of those people, if he decides they're not willing to go all the way to the depths of hell with me to protect me, then what am I doing wasting my time with them? This loony Loomer will go with me. I'm going to go with her. She will fight for me like nobody else. And guess what? She'll fight them and they didn't stand with me, so they're now my enemy. I mean, it's even better than I thought it was gonna be. It's even better. So if he chooses not to go with her, then he decides to stay in the Republican Party apparatus, is what the guides want to say. The problem with that is Laura Loomer. She's already been given the access to him. And you don't give Laura Loomer things and then take them away. So will m- she could make him public enemy number one. And then you've got, again, you've got foreign country with all the dirt that's criminal, that's really criminal. I mean, like, you cannot deny this video, you cannot deny this audio, you cannot deny this witness. Okay, it's just it's insurmountable, the spirit guides want to say. So you have the country influencing this situation, but then you have this whack job, Laura Loomer, who's also in her own right a catalyst and a real agitator in this situation. So if 45 goes with Loomer and divests himself of the Republican Party, then MTG will have to turn state's witness, because she has to make a deal. The only way out is to make a deal, or go get whatever that is and learn Russian, right? Go get whatever that program is and get a subscription and start learning, some other language, any other language. Not any other language, because any other country is not going to work, right? But you understand what I'm saying. Okay. So how is that the future of politics? Well, my God. So you have the Cheneys sitting over here, and I always see her like sharpening her claws, you know what I mean? Like, just sitting by the side. The other thing I would say to you about Cheney is that I didn't say earlier, is that the spirit guide said not only would she wait for this to happen, right? Like what's happening right now, what I'm telling you, what I'm describing to you, not only would she wait for that, but she would also re I mean, I'm going to use the word reorient, but put lipstick on a pig, right? She's going to create a new identity. This is a better way to say it. She's going to create a new identity, but that's not what they're saying. It's not the same. Remake her image. Anyway, let me describe it like this. She's going to go from really pretty far right. I mean, honestly, you guys, she voted over 93% with 45. I mean, that's pretty far right to be on that bandwagon and not being paid by the people he's being paid by. Okay, so you the American oligarch, but you still agreeing with the downfall of democracy by supporting this buffoon. I'm sorry, she did it. She voted. Okay, here's the thing. She's going to move herself to the right of center. This is where she becomes a very formidable opponent, because she's going to move herself to the right of center, and then it's the fox in the hen house. It's the Trojan horse. All these Republicans, cinema, all these Republicans, they start out as one thing, and then they get in our party, and then they become, you know, this is dramatic. I swear to God, this is what came to me, which cracks me up, because they say I'm dramatic. They want to say I'm dramatic, but they just said the Antichrist. I don't know who that is, but I like you. You're getting a raise. Okay. Free donuts for you. Okay. So anyway, listen, we have to be careful, because she's going to remake herself, and she's going to trick Democrats into, oh, Liz, I'm so happy. Gosh, you really helped us. You're such a patriot. You saved democracy, Liz. You should be in Kamala's cabinet. You should be vice president. You should be secretary of state, Liz. That is a bunch of bullshit. Okay? She's not your friend. She's a Republican who believes the kids shouldn't get free lunches. She's a Republican that believes terrible things. She's not us. So don't let her fool you, because if we allow these people in our camp, in this, like Kamala said, I would consider putting a Republican in my cabinet. I'm just telling you, Democrats have not fared well. We've watered down our message. We've watered down what the American people want. We don't have universal health care because we watered it down, because we decided that we needed to work with Republicans. We didn't get rid of the filibuster when we could because that's a bridge too far. Okay, let's talk about the remake of politics, right? This is what I'm saying. The American people need change. We're going into the time of the people. The American people want universal health care. They want basic, free health care. When I say basic, I don't mean like, a doctor's visit. I mean cancer treatment. I'm talking about welfare, being well. Something they would have in Canada, something they would have in Britain. Okay. Now, if you want to have your 5-star health insurance, by all means, by all means, nobody is telling anybody that you cannot have health insurance. Look, this is going to fix itself anyway because everything is about profit. And these insurance companies are deciding we can't make a damn money. These Americans are sick. They're overweight. They're lethargic. They're stressed out. Wait till all this anxiety we've been consuming hits our system in a few years. We will be not well. And insurance companies will not see a profit, and they will give us to the government. And then they will cherry pick the more wealthy people who have the money to go to the gym, that have the money to get the massages to bring their, their health, their relaxation, their sanity back. They'll they'll get that, golden, beautiful insurance. That's fine. So we are going this way, but the Democrats have to fight for us. You guys, if the Democrats don't fight for us, what I see in 2026 is these kids, these Swifties, you know, and these Gen Zers or whoever's voting at that time, whether they're Zoomers or whoever they are, they don't have any allegiance to any Democratic Party. They don't have any allegiance to anybody because no one has had allegiance to them. We learned companies will lay you off rather than look at you, not pay you a pension, not care about you. They don't care about you. Therefore, this young generation don't care about them. They'll quit a company tomorrow. They'll give you exactly 0 minutes notice because they're not coming back after lunch. It makes it difficult, but the bottom line is that the power is swinging to the people. And the corporations haven't caught on. They're still trying to control the people. So this is where the fight is. This is where the friction's going to be. But that friction's also going to be very evident in politics. So if the Democrats are busy singing Kumbaya and holding hands with Liz Cheney, do you think Liz Cheney's going to vote for universal health care? No. So we have to really be very mindful. Also, the other thing the spirit guides are going to start harping on, and I'm telling you, they're harping on me just as much as they're harping on you. I got involved in my community. I was very involved in Democrats. I've been in the room where you literally count the votes, where I've been through some things, y'all. I've seen some shit. I've seen some shit. And that made me callous. That made me not want to be in that room because it wasn't justice. There was no justice in that room. And I can't. I'm too sensitive and I don't like that. So, however, we can't abdicate our citizenry. This is how we got here. We abdicated our citizenry. We decided that the government sort of run on its own. And even though G.W. Bush was bad, he wasn't that bad, or maybe, you know, whatever we decided, I don't know. And I know that I'm talking to you who's very political and very involved. And I know that maybe I hurt your feelings just now. And deeply sorry, because when GW won, I thought the world was over. Actually, that was my first heartbreak before Trump. Um, Reagan was my dad's heartbreak, and I didn't know it at the time, but it would also be mine. But anyway, I'm just telling you guys, I know we've been through a toxic hellscape, and we've had to be in our homes, and we've had to pull back, and we've had to not be involved, because a lot of us live in red states and it's been very violent. Truly, like, you could really get hurt simply having free speech, having a sign or having a sticker. So I get it. But at the same time, it's going to come to a head that we have to do more. And however we do that, well, never mind. I'll tell you how we do that, because I said they just answered it, is through groups, is through people. If you're afraid to block walk, or you're afraid to even go out of your house, that's not living, right? Join a group. There is safety in numbers. There is safety in numbers. We've got to reconnect to other humans. You know, the whole pandemic disconnected us. And that helped us get where we are now, where we don't, some of us don't trust each other, where some of us are too afraid. We need to get out and see each other and support each other, have fellowship, break bread together. This is how we get, this is the quicker way. This is the HOV lane. This is the express lane to getting where we're going, is embrace community, embrace groups. Okay. So bottom line is that the Republican Party is falling apart. I've always seen the Republican Party going into two parties. Whether that's this year, next year, or 4 years from now, it's going to happen, because this, even though, you know, the guides always want to use that analogy of the horror movie, which I don't watch, but you know, the monster or the demon or whatever it is doesn't get killed, and it runs away or it goes up into space, and you just know you're going to see another darn sequel of this movie. Well, here we are, right? Even though 45 goes up into space, the there's the energy of that control. Remember, we're doing here, we're taking the American oligarchs' energy away. We're taking their power away. We're taking their money away. They're not going to just hand it over. So how that's going to happen is they're going to focus it into the states, and the states are going to be kingdoms, or really, I don't know what they're saying. Let's just call it kingdom, because I can't get the other word. But a kingdom is okay. A kingdom is not right, because a kingdom means that they have their own country, and they're not going to have their own country, but they're going to be like, I don't know it. I don't know what that word is, but it's like, when you have um, your own whatever it is, and you answer to a bigger person, but you still have your own, you know, area, whatever that is. So this energy suggests that the whole argument is going to go down into states, and what's setting up for us is the republic. Questions about the republic. We are formed as a republic. That's why we have states' rights. We're governed by a democracy. Our republic is governed by a democracy. But the republic is a problem, just like the electoral college is a problem. It's outdated. You know, right now, the states have the wherewithal to say, no one with a driver's license from Maine can drive through my state. Now, that would be bad, right? Because don't we get goods and services from Maine? Don't we like Mainers? We do, right? But I'm saying to you, we're learning now, very belatedly, how much power the states really have. Number one. And number two, we're learning that the antidote to that power is SCOTUS, is the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is also bought and paid for. So the next big issue is going to be states' rights, which is a very big Republican thing. Republicans believe in bigger states' rights. Democrats believe in more federal control. So we're really setting up for a battle royale right now, right? So this is sort of the future of politics. Now, I'll just say also that I do see the Democrats, because of this internal problems with the Democrats, where you have some Democrats saying, "Look, let's go along to get along. Let's be the big tent. Let's work with Liz Cheney. Let's work with these people. We need to be bipartisan." And then you have people on the left that are like, "No, you're watering down the will of the people. My constituents voted me in to get these things done. And what I'm doing by capitulating, it's not a compromise." The Democrats never come out on the upper end, even when they have the upper power, because we've historically just given our power away. Now this is changing, right? Because we have a Kamala Harris. This is changing, but she's not Congress. She's president. We have separation of these powers. So what I see is some real battles starting to happen between the progressive side of the Democrats and the conservative side of the Democrats. And I think these new people coming in, these new senators and new reps coming in, are going to be fought over to join one camp or the other. So what that would suggest is that there's no middle ground, right? There isn't a middle ground. You're either here or there. Again, very divisive energy. Okay. Now, this doesn't have to happen. It's likely to happen. It doesn't have to happen. You know, there are some ways I can see that we could ease through this, just the same way that the MAGAs can ease into society again. Put they're showing me a dog with its cockles up, with his hair up. Get them to just lay their hair down, right? Just calm down, right? So there are ways that we can maneuver through this energy and not get to the extremes. But it's good to know that there are extremes. It's good to just know, in my opinion, the possibilities. Don't dwell on them. Don't worry about them. If you want to do something, to take action, it's community. Go out and volunteer in your food bank if you can. If you're able to be ambulatory, if you're able to be out and about, right? If you want to put on a mask, put on a mask. Go out and help people. You want to do something by yourself? Go to the local park and pick up trash. You know, reach out to your neighbor you haven't talked to in a year or 2 years and just say, "Hey, how are you doing?" Right? Like, how are things for you? We've got to find our humanity. This is how they're attacking us from the inside out, by saying these Haitian people are not like us. And we can't, this is the Republican message. Anybody that's not white is not like us, and therefore we must defend against them. If you want to do something to change the energy in yourself, in your community, and in the world, besides voting and amplifying posts from your candidates, even if they're not your candidates, like their post, share their post, donate, volunteer. If you don't have the money and you can't get out, send good energy. Don't worry about it, because worrying will not help you. It's toxic. So I've laid out some reality timelines here, but none of them are the end of democracy. None of them are the end of anything. It's how the sausage is made. It's not pretty, but we have to do it. We're humans. We have to learn our lessons, right? And I think knowing that even though they're attacking these people in Springfield right now. Everybody's being attacked in Springfield right now. I think it's important to know that the way forward is humanity. One of the pictures I saw, and I'll try to put it up if I can find it, is all these people sitting in this Haitian restaurant. It was full because they just simply wanted to support the Haitian community. That's community. This is what we can do. This is how we change this. We do have to VOTE, but we can also go down to the library and say, hey, I'm retired. Can I read books to kids? Do you have a reading program? Maybe I can volunteer. I could teach kids that are new to the United States how to read. That's giving back. That's empowering the energy that we are really stepping into. Trust me, we're going to power the people. We can do this the hard way or the easy way. The hard way is the power of the people get in the streets with pitchforks. You know what I mean? And I've seen that too. The easy way is we have brilliant leaders like Biden and Kamala Harris that instead of going into a recession, have a soft landing, bring us jobs, protect us, encourage us to love each other. That's the soft way. It's there for us. We can literally, we feel like we're falling through the sky, but we can land on a soft cushion. We don't have to do this the hard way. And the easy way begins with you and me. Okay? It begins with reaching out to other religions. When this went down with the Israel-Palestinian thing or the Israel-Hamas thing, the spirit guides told you, I don't know if you remember, in the very beginning, they said, be the person in your community, just exactly what they said, be the person in your community that calls your mayor, that calls your city council member, and then calls the synagogue, and then calls the mosque, whatever it is, and you be the person to say, I really think what would be nice right now would be a gathering of us, break bread together. Even if it's 10 people, call the newspapers. We have to prove to the media. We have to prove, just like in Springfield and in Aurora, they said, this is not happening. We're here. It's not happening. Just like on the Gulf Coast. How many hurricanes have I watched on TV and looked out my window and been like, that's not happening here. I don't know where they found that water. We have to be the truth tellers. So please think about that. Please think about reaching out and creating a coalition, a group, right? If you have a friend that's a person who's a more boisterous and more of an action person, call them and say, hey, would you get a group together to go pick up litter at the park because it's looking pretty bad? I'll join you. Would you get a group together to have a float or a car or a truck in the parade, the Thanksgiving parade, that just says peace, that just has flags of peace? Right? This is how we do it. Then what if you have 20 cars that have flags that just say peace? What are you telling your community? If you're not telling your community I'm a Democrat or Republican or whatever religion, you're telling your community we want peace. Okay? We can do this, you guys. We are the ones we've been waiting for. Okay? Take really, really good care of yourself. Let me know what you think down in the comments. This was a longer video for those of you that didn't like the shorter videos, but I will be doing shorter videos. I will mix it up because I know not everybody has an hour to listen to me ramble. Thanks again. I really appreciate you. Believe me, I heard the message. I'm going to get myself busy too. We're all going to get busy because it's us. Power to the people. That's Kamala. When she ran in 2020, that was her tagline. Because when she was a prosecutor, she said, the people, not the state of California, the people. I represent the people. You guys, we are here. We are exactly where we're supposed to be. the beginning of this energy. Power to the people, okay? Power to love, power to peace, power to oneness, all right? I'll see you again real soon. Take good care. For entertainment purposes only.